At the end of last year, we decided to do a roundtable discussion with some Beltway insiders to see exactly that. Where is the money going to go in 2020? We found a few different things. For one, people are going to go a bit broader. They don't want to be as narrow with the focus. People went really, really focused in 2016, and they sort of have to recalibrate and take a step back. So they're going to go a bit broader with targeting. And then also what we're going to see is that people are going really focused on local elections. That's where a lot of the money is going to go. People really see the value in local campaigns and getting their state senate houses, assembly houses. Because there is the perception that there's so much gridlock in Congress right now, people are seeing that they can have a bigger impact locally than they ever really have.
And in this upcoming election, we have a lot of people who never voted before. So if you want to reach them, go to Snapchat, go to Instagram, go to Twitter, places like that where you can really reach a new market and bring them into the fold, because a lot of times when you're on broadcast or cable, you're missing a very large demographic of people who don't simply have those channels or watch that. So I'm hoping in this election coming up that they will allocate their money towards digital.
Look, the way that people consume media has evolved dramatically over the last 10 years. Now people are spending nearly double the amount of time with digital media as they do with TV. The way that campaigns allocate their media budgets and plan for platforms should be representative of where people spend their time.
I honestly don't believe it's going to be shaken up that much. I still think political ad spend is going to be about 70% allocated to television, cable, addressable television, things like that, 20% to digital. But I think in the digital realm, you'll see more OTT and connected TV being used in the media mix.
So we're really big on addressable advertising and connected TV this year. Political campaigns want to reach voters directly, and being able to match specific lists to reach those voters is something that's very important for campaigns in 2020.
I really think that Snapchat, that's where a lot of the generation after the millennials are, and they're getting ready to become voting and really get into the election. So I think Snapchat is going to play a big part.
I don't think there's a single tool or platform that is going to get credit for the outcome of 2020. I think the campaigns that break through are going to be the ones that integrate their media across digital and TV, and the campaigns that integrate their teams across paid media and traditional media and traditional comms.
I think addressable television, probably, where people are able to target more specific groups of voters using data to reduce their television waste. I think that you'll also see a lot more OTT and connected TV taking credit this time.
I think we hear a lot about African American voting bloc, the Middle America voting bloc, the youth bloc, and I think there's a lot of data that can tell us exactly about behaviors of people, how they vote, really how they are thinking about the world. And I think the most important thing to remember is that people are not voting in a box. You really can't pick one candidate and then decide that an entire group of people are going to vote for that candidate, because that's how they normally used to align.
The big thing for 2020 is that the presidential race is going to be twice as big as it was in 2016. So that means the amount of advertisers are going to be doubled, and the amount of spots that they're going to spend are double, that they're going to buy are double as well. So the amount of clutter that's coming in September and October of this year is going to be massive. And so you need to understand how to cut through that clutter and work around it.
The trend that we're seeing emerging is that increasingly platforms, and especially the most impactful platforms, we're not going to be able to target one-to-one based on the voter file. That doesn't make digital advertising any less impactful. Instead, it means that we really have to understand our voters and where they spend time and plan our media accordingly. It also means that our creative needs to be more impactful than ever.
Fundamentally, it comes down to the audience. And people need to think audience first. We've always really been content first, which is important because access to premium content is what's going to get someone to turn their television on or pull something up on their phone. But people need to think audience first. People are watching a variety of different streaming services, they're watching a bunch of different networks, and they're really utilizing a different platform on a daily or really hourly basis. So people need to think about it based on the audience as opposed to just about the content.
When you you talk about activists on the ground, you talk about people going to the schools or the colleges or, the barbershops, the hair salons, or having those conversations face to face with people, giving them information. In a world where there's so much disinformation and misinformation, you need to be upfront with the voters, you need to go to them, have honest and real conversations with them, look them right in the eyes and tell them why they should vote, what you care about, and what they should care about.
Young people emerging from movements like the Obama campaign, like Black Lives Matter, like March for Our Lives, like all of these groups where they are now becoming a lobby that candidates need to pay attention to, because that's the voice of both old America and new America as well, and it matters with regard to how people vote. I think that really just using all the tools at your disposal. So whether you have MRI data, or you're talking about OTT, or if you're talking about traditional communications, or if you're talking about advertising, right? Advertising in a box. Really important to look at all of the demographics and not necessarily, again, make assumptions about groups of people based upon data that's 10 years old or even 20 years old. We have a lot of information not only from Instagram, but also from new platforms like TikTok. I actually had an opportunity to work in the First Lady's office, and we did a lot of communicating with people on the David Letterman show and Tonight Show. We did a Let's Move challenge with Beyonce. We really got out of the political box in order to reach Americans.
Modern marketers need to understand data. Advertisers have more access to data than they ever had before. So a marketer needs to be able to acquire the data, provide it in a way that advertisers can make decisions off it, and then be able to take action off of those decisions that advertisers make.
A modern marketer today needs to be a jack of all trades, which is really hard. But that's why at Xandr our goal is really just to help make advertising matter for both marketers and consumers, because it is really complicated. There's all this different tech out there. Consumers are using a variety of different streaming service, and we really need to help simplify how marketers access or reach the consumers they want. But they do need to be able to understand social media, video, print, out of home, and it all really comes down to education and people feeling really comfortable using all those different mediums, because that's where their consumers are.